Hi, babe. How are you?
I'm eating skyr.
Skyr? What's that?
It's like non-fat yogurt that's high in protein.
How much protein?
Like 22 grams a serving.
What's with you and protein? You're always obsessed with protein.
I'm trying to lose weight and build muscle, so if you don't have high protein, then your body is not going to like replenish and rebuild the muscle after you're tearing it down when you're working it out. And you kind of need protein for everything in your body. It helps repair your cells, it helps repair your muscle, it helps keep things together. It's part of like the building block for your body, I think.
Do you feel you're getting stronger?
Yeah, I do when I have enough protein. If I don't have enough protein, then I feel weak. Like the other day, we went to the gym in the morning and I didn't eat dinner the night before. I didn't have enough protein that day.
Oh, yeah, you were almost going to faint at the gym. I
was
saw
fainting.
You almost passed out.
I was gray.
I carried you.
You carried me up the stairs?
I said, don't faint, baby. I got you.
I said, babe, please carry me.
How's your fitness journey, babe? How is it? And where did it start?
Oh,
and why?
God, where to start and why? This is like a trick question, guys. She just wants to take credit for it.
No, I don't. I just want you to talk about maybe eating healthier, or maybe like kids that started off not eating healthy and then they get bad habits or something.
What?
Yeah, it's like a cycle kind of.
Yo, she's talking shit.
No, it's just that sometimes when you don't know any better, like you just learn, that's why like it's like sad that, for example, they're in like neighborhoods that are like more like working class, there's not that many healthy food stores, right?
Yeah, just fast food.
There's just fast food, liquor stores, and it's kind of hard for people with like lower income to basically attain healthier foods. Yeah. And so all they know is like McDonald's and junk food and things like that. And so then they grow up and that's like all they're comfortable with eating. And then that's kind of like how that begins, this like unhealthy journey of eating not so good food.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's like the journey never even starts because they're just eating like refined sugars and carbs and processed bullshit. And it's because it's cheap. I think growing up, I wouldn't say like we ate the worst. We just ate a lot of like Mexican food at home. But then like we would eat out a lot. Like we'd get fast food or we'd go out to eat somewhere. And then when my mom would cook, she would make something that was like Mexican food, usually. So it'd be like heavy in carbs and not too, like it'd have protein, but it wouldn't just only be protein. It would be like tortillas and rice and beans, which is protein, I guess, but a lot of starches and shit,
Mm-hmm.
So I've been pretty big my whole life, but I've always gone up and down. And you've seen since we've been together, like I've gone up and down.
Yeah. Well, I've also known you since you were a teenager. So.
You've also known me since I was a teenager. So you've also seen me go up and down.
I just saw you go up and up.
Yo,
I'm just kidding.
What the hell? Okay. Well, I'm trying to just go down now. So I'm just trying to like be consistent. I think before when I would work out, I would just go really hard. And then I would go really hard at like either like fasting or just like maybe overdoing it on the diet stuff. And it wasn't sustainable. So obviously like it didn't last, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this time I'm just like trying to do something sustainable. And it's barely sustainable in my opinion.
Would you say keto is sustainable?
I did keto twice before. And the first time I did it, I lost like 60 pounds. But a lot of it was like me just being exhausted all the time. And
you didn't have like energy?
I didn't have energy and I would get headaches and like I had a hard time sleeping. So it was kind of hard to sustain, and it's expensive too, because at least at that time I was like really broke, so I'd have to just only eat protein, and it was kind of hard. It's kind of hard to diet. It's really hard actually to take care of yourself when you have no money.
Yeah.
So to circle back to what you were saying, if you can't afford to eat healthy, then you're just going to be unhealthy. So it really highlights like the struggle, that like classism is real, racism is real, but they intersect. And that's where the data gets kind of like, kind of confusing, because you look at like, I mean, minorities tend to be in poor neighborhoods, right? We tend to be like, the most like, not malnourished, but we tend to be just unhealthy with our diet, with our habits. And it makes sense when you look at the options that we have in like our neighborhoods when it's low income, there's nothing but bullshit because it's cheap. And if you want to eat something really good, like there's no fucking Whole Foods or Lazy Acres or Bristol Farms or Erewhon in the ghetto, like there's Smart and Final and like Super A and what is it on Food for Less,
Don't be talking shit about Super A.
Super A is gas, but I'm just saying though, like you don't get all this like all these organic options. I think now maybe they try to like diversify a little bit, but I remember when organic was like a thing and it was coming out more because everyone was like learning more about like GMOs and processed shit. It was really hard to get organic shit because it was super expensive. I mean, it still is, but it's just not feasible for someone who's not, in a certain tax bracket or making enough money. I mean, I know it because at the time I wasn't making a lot of money, so it was hard for me to be healthy. So I had to do something extreme, like just only eat protein. Mm-hmm. That was kind of hard, but I lost a lot of weight. But it's not sustainable because after a while you're like, I want to eat bread, like I want to eat fucking carbs.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for people. I mean, like, you know who Jordan Peterson is? You heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of him. Everyone's heard of him. A lot of people hate him. I kind of don't really like him at all anymore. When I was younger, I liked him a little bit more. But his daughter is like, she kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say this is why she blew up, but she's gone on multiple like, news outlets and shows and stuff talking about how when she went full keto, she started seeing all these like crazy health benefits. Like she started losing a lot of symptoms from like, not diseases, but she had a lot of things wrong with her. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those things got better when she started going full keto. I think same thing for him too. They're like huge like proponents of the keto diet thing. And I've heard varying accounts from different people that like just eating all like the carnivore diet or whatever, just eating all protein, like all meat, that it's worked for them. But then it's like, I don't think that just eating the same thing over and over again is like, how can that be good for you,
Yeah, I don't think it's good for you.
Imagine you're just eating steaks every day.
Nah.
But these people are doing it and they're saying they're getting all these good health
They're liars.
Benefits. You think they're lying?
Maybe.
You think they're all lying?
They're getting paid by Big Keto.
By Big Meat? Big Meat's paying them.
Big Keto's paying.
But they're getting like grass-fed steaks and shit. I don't think they're doing like...
I mean, they're probably eating vegetables.
They're not.
Doubt it.
They're just doing the carnivore diet. No veggies. No veggies.
I don't believe.
No veggies. Just peppers probably.
I don't believe when people say they're like so consistent on one thing for so long. It's very rare that I come across people that can actually sustain and actually don't get bored,
Avoid eating the same thing?
Not even just eating, just like doing, being about.
Being about? Just like you don't think that they ever detract from that or like disrupt it? You think that they're just like bullshitting when they say it's something they've done? Like,
I wouldn't say bullshitting because that's kind of harsh. I would just say that
you think they're exaggerating
some
with how
people
consistent they are?
Might be exaggerating about how consistent they are. Yeah. I think people need to keep it real. Like, for example, me.
What? What about you?
Just kidding. No, but like to keep it real, like it's been hard to be consistent with my podcast. And so out of the blue,
here we go.
Maybe a month ago, I started just doing every other week podcasts. Because it's hard to be in school, podcast, and work full time and just like do shit and like also keep my sanity and like take care of myself and put me first and stuff. So I can't be that consistent. And then this is me just trying the bare minimum of being consistent because I said I was going to be consistent with the podcast.
So you have to do something. So this is why you're doing an episode with me.
This is why the episode's here. Yeah.
So I was just like a last minute audible.
Yeah, it's like 9:00 on Sunday. And I'm going to air this tomorrow. So, yeah. It was just like, oh, shit, I have to do the podcast.
I got to stay consistent. Yeah, I think, we're still...
The least I could do is every other week,
Well, so yeah, otherwise you don't have a podcast.
So that's...
You had a podcast.
That's the least I could do now.
Yeah, I think as long as you have... I think if you have to dial back, if you can set an expectation and manage it, then you're good. But if you're gonna like not do it, then you're just you're failing. So I think it's fine to go to just every other week, but be consistent in that. Then you don't have to overdo it because, like you said, life is happening, right? You started your master's program and you're going to work, and then we're trying to juggle our schedules and our dog and our personal lives, and we have a lot of shit that's been going on.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you, babe.
But going back, I guess, like, maybe I'm just projecting and bringing things into one thing. I'm not totally projecting. You don't have to, like, full on agree.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are a little bit.
No, it's just that, like, I don't know, over time, like,
Why do you say that? Because do you think...
Over time, you can't just eat fucking meat every day.
I can?
No. For the rest of your life, for years, I don't think that's a thing.
I could eat salmon and avocado roll every day.
But you stopped.
Because I couldn't have access to it anymore.
If you wanted to, you could have, though.
No way. Not at that price. It was $6.
If he wanted to, he would.
I want everyone to know that during the pandemic, I worked somewhere. It was a really shitty job. I hate them. Arm the Animals, screw you. If you guys ever bought a shirt from Arm the Animals, you got ripped off.
Nobody bought a shirt because nobody knows what that is.
Oh, people know. I've seen people know.
Nobody knows what that is.
Arm the Animals, I know what that is.
Nobody knows what that is.
Okay, well, anyways, I worked for them and they fucking sucked. And the best part about that
I think you're making up this company.
Don't make it up. You knew about it. And then when I was working there...
I never actually seen the location.
Oh my God. Yes, you did. Okay. And then when I was working there was a spot around the street. Shout out Thai Show in Arcadia if you guys have ever been. They have salmon avocado rolls, 8-piece for $6. So I ate it every day for months on end. Every single day. And I lost weight.
Yeah. I don't think you could sustain that, though.
I would eat it every day. I would eat it right now, every day. Sometimes I'm like, what do I get for lunch? I wish I had Thai Show.
I don't think you would.
Oh, babe.
I don't think you would.
I would. I totally would.
I don't think you would.
You don't even know. You don't even know.
I know.
I could eat the same thing. When one of my first jobs was working at H&M, and every day what I got for lunch was chicken now. Is that what it's called? Chicken now?
At the San Anita Mall?
Yeah, is that what it's called? Chicken
now?
Yeah. Yeah, I would get chicken now every day. I would go so often that the girl that worked there started just giving me shit for free. And they all knew my name.
Sure.
They all knew my name. And I would just flash my employee card and I would get a discount too.
Oh, so they gave you free stuff with the discount?
They gave me a discount and free stuff. I mean, they had to give me a discount. Anyways. She used to work at Penguins, guys, and she freaking ruined it. They went out of business because of her.
I used to eat a lot of yogurt, a lot of frozen yogurt.
You still eat a lot of yogurt, just not frozen yogurt.
Low key, their recipe for yogurt was really good.
Just share it. What is it?
I don't know their recipe.
Share the rest.
But they had really good vanilla ice cream, and then just like all the other flavors are pretty good, actually.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, so good.
So good. So good. Anyways, we were talking about my freaking fitness journey. I hate fitness journey because I'm like just trying to be like, I'm just trying to build healthy habits that I didn't have growing up or in my early adulthood. And now as a 32-year-old man who like wants to be healthy and live longer and I want to be, you know, sexy, I'm like trying to just be consistent and take care of myself. And it's hard because like I said, like my parents grew up poor, so they had poor habits. And then when I was a little kid, like money was always like kind of like a problem. So, you know, we didn't always eat the best food. We would eat cheap and quick. And then even like when I got older and my parents like started stabilizing, they would still just eat like shit, even though they weren't poor anymore, you know? So obviously those habits carry over, and then it's just hard to break those habits and patterns as an adult unless you're like extremely aware of it, because most people, you know, they reinforce those habits or they have the same habits. And so I think that's why we got to bring back bullying.
Do you think it's harder? Because I can't imagine. I don't know. I don't have a similar situation or experience to you, but I was chubby and I wasn't skinny.
Mm.
And
Till when?
Till when?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was a fat baby.
But yeah, everyone's a fat baby.
That's not true. There's some skinny babies and they look
like anorexic babies.
Yeah.
If your baby's skinny, it's ugly, I gotta say.
But no, I started noticing I got a little chubbier face in around 4th grade. And then I was chubby. And then 5th grade, I was a little chubbier. 6th grade,
you slimmed down.
I started slimming down because I got
puberty.
I got like self-conscious and probably puberty.
Yeah.
And then I started gaining weight in 8th grade, I want to say. And
where though?
my arms. And my stomach.
Like normal girl parts. And that's normal for girls.
And then 9th grade, I wasn't bad weight or anything. I was actually pretty skinny, in my opinion.
You were pretty skinny, but your boobs were really big.
Thanks.
I remember.
Gross. Looking at my boobs.
I remember the first time I met you, I was like...
It's just weird you saying that as like a 32-year-old man and
well,
like thinking
time.
About like your my 13-year-old body with boobs. So that's why I said gross, because it's a little weird.
Well, I'm thinking about myself when I was 14, meeting you at 14 and being like, she's pretty. She has big boobs.
So then I think I was like 15 and I started...
You got really skinny.
I guess, no, I wasn't that skinny.
Your face got really skinny.
No.
Yeah, your bangs got really long.
Somewhere down the line, though, I think it was like my junior year, I started gaining weight and I got a stomach and I started wearing sweatpants to school.
What the hell? All lazy?
Yeah, I was being ghetto.
You are ghetto.
And sometimes.
I like it.
And then I lost weight somewhere after. Somewhere in like 12th grade.
Yeah, I think like my freshman year.
So going back, like I wouldn't say that like I struggled too much with losing weight, but it always has been like an issue for me because I always wanted to be skinnier. You know, during our time period when anorexia was like at the height of...
Yeah, during our...
It was
our
like
teens.
The skinnier she is, the hotter.
I think it was when we were growing up was when anorexia and bulimia were like being pretty heavily talked about in like school and TV
It
and
was like glamorized too. Like
yeah.
you wanted to be anorexic skinny, and like the supermodels were like anorexic skinny.
Yeah, they were all skinny. I mean, all the celebrities were skinny too. Like you look, there wasn't like huge, like now, like dudes get fucking big and ripped. They get lean, but they get ripped, right? Like even on TV, like even the dudes that are like dainty, they still get ripped. And even the superhero movies at that time when we were growing up, like people weren't ripped. They were just like you look at Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when we were kids in the first movie versus now. Like he was like fucking fit and ripped for the time, but he wasn't all fucking jacked out and like steroided up like he is now. He's like he looks like Wolverine now. Back then though, it was like normal for like, like Angelina Jolie to be like super anorexic and all these other actresses, and the actors were super skinny and everyone on TV was skinny. It was like, what was it, like the heroin chic or whatever, that like move, that like aesthetic, like who's that really famous blonde, not Heidi Klum, the other one, Kate Moss.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, she had this famous quote. She would say something like, food doesn't taste as good as skinny feels. Something like that. She would say some shit like that.
She's wrong.
She's wrong? I don't know. I've never been skinny, so I have no idea. I can't stop eating food. So
I've never been, not that I'm like saying I'm fat or big or anything,
You're
but
not big.
I've never been like skinny, you know?
Well, you're just not built like that. Like, I don't think you could possibly be skinny.
Yeah.
You got like thick legs, You like have like an athletic build. You got like wide hips. You're never gonna be like anorexic, but why would you want to be?
I don't. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't know what the skinny feels like either, because I've never been there. But
I don't think I could be skinny either. Even if I tried, like, if I starved, I would still be kind of like big boned,
But okay, for example, that time. Oh, so what happened was, I think my junior year of high school, I was a vegetarian. So I was eating a lot of carbs and potatoes and cheese and stuff. So I gained a lot of weight. And then, or maybe that was my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I started eating chicken because my doctor was like, you need to fucking chill, dude. And so, like, I started eating chicken and then I started losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
Just like on my own without like really actively trying.
Because you're eating protein.
And so, would you say for someone that wasn't chubby or like big growing up, do you think it's easier for someone, let's say like in their teenage or like younger adult years, to lose weight versus somebody who's been chubby their whole life?
In their teenage years? Is that what you're asking? Is it easier for someone in their teenage years?
So
that was a confusing question, I think.
I don't think you're paying attention because you're eating your yogurt.
No, you said, would it be easier for someone who hasn't always been big to lose weight in their teenage years versus someone who's always been big? Both in their teenage years?
Yeah.
Well,
or young adult years.
But the thing is, like,
just generally, like, is that
the thing though is like someone who hasn't been big their whole life,
and then they got a little chubby.
They have a genetic disposition towards being skinny. Like my family is just all big, so I was already like genetically gonna just probably be big. But then like the bad habits, and then like, like my elders around me would spoil me with bullshit like chicken nuggets and stuff. So I started looking like a little chicken nugget. But, like my parents were fucking skinny growing up, and then through their teenage years, and it wasn't until like I was born that like my parents started gaining weight. I mean, they're not like, my mom is not like fucking obese or something. My dad is like really big now. I don't know if I'd say he's obese, but he's obese. He's obese, right? He's built just so weird though. He just has such a weird body. but he's not supposed to be big.
Yeah, you said he's supposed to be athletic.
He's supposed to be athletic. Like, he was always athletic and fit. I mean, I was a little kid, and before that, he was like ripped, So I've just always been big. I don't think I'm supposed to be this big, but he just ended up like this.
Probably because of bad habits.
But I will say that in high school, which is like the best time for people to lose weight, obviously, because it's like your opportunities to be active and to retrain and to also like build a routine is just like easier. Like, you have a pretty, like, your schedule as a teenager is pretty similar to what it's going to be like when you're an adult, right? Like, you wake up fucking early and you go to school or you go to work as an adult, and then you have to eat 2 or 3 times throughout the day, and then you get, you get a break, which is like your lunch. Like, high school is basically just like fucking work. You just don't get paid. You gotta deal with all this bullshit. And I think it's easier for anyone to lose weight during that time just because of like what the schedule can afford you. But yeah, someone who's been skinny their whole life, of course, is going to lose it probably faster because they're just naturally meant to be skinny. Their body wants to get back to that, right? Someone who's been big their whole life, it's going to be a lot harder for them. But it also depends on different things. Like, if you were like active, like, I don't know how, I always maintained the same weight, but as a kid, I was active. Like, I would play sports and stuff. Like, as a little kid, I played organized sports at the park and stuff because my dad like insisted on it. And it wasn't until I was like in junior high that I stopped doing stuff. Like, I was in like taekwondo and stuff until I was like 12. And then I was like, I just want to play guitar, right? All I want to do is just like play guitar and make music. And I stopped caring about sports and stuff.
I'm just imagining, I remember you told me that you were in taekwondo and you had to fight against
my master.
A grown man.
Yeah, against Master Kim.
Because you were so strong and chunky.
Damn, you're gonna say chunky? Yeah, I was just like too big. And not tall, I was just too big. Like, I don't. If anyone's familiar with Monterey Park, there used to be next to the Boston Market. There used to be a Taekwondo center right there. I just
picture you being a strong little kid.
I was fucking strong. Like, once I started learning, I was like goofy when I first got in there, and I was like, fucking around. I'd be like tugging on my belt and shit, and just like making faces and just acting goofy. And then I got like, I kept going. And then I kept getting better, and I got flexible, and I'm like doing the splits and kicking, and then like I was getting strong because they're like, they make us do like backwards push-ups. I can't fucking do that anymore. Like, backwards on your back and then do a push-up. Yeah. And then we would have to like bear crawl around the whole room and shit. And then we would do sparring every Friday, and sometimes we do it on Tuesdays. And I was just like fucking up kids that were my age and even a little older because I was just too strong. I was too big. I was fat, and then I was flexible, and then I was strong. So I was like making kids cry.
Triple threat
and silly. So then the teacher, my master, he just was like, okay, he'd make me put my gear on, and he wouldn't put no gear on. And then every Friday and Tuesday,
he was the final boss.
I'd have to fight him. It's fucked up. I mean, he would go easy on me. Obviously, he wasn't like, he could have stopped everything I did, but he would like let me hit him, and he'd be like, oh, and I remember hitting him. I've never.
Maybe you got a little bit of a good hit on him.
Yeah, I was just saying. I remember one time I hit him like in the chest, like really hard, like a kick, like gah, and then like I followed up and like I hit him in the chest, and it was like, it felt like a tree, like it was just like pure muscle, just like I was like. Like I like stopped, like in Dragon Ball Z when they hit someone, they're just like,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt like. And he just looked at me and he just like swept my shit, and I just like was like, oh, just like fucking fell, just ate shit. Yeah, and he would hit me like, even though I had the sparring gear on, he would like kick me, and I would feel like my whole body shake, like my spine, like oh. I was only like 10. He was beating my ass.
Child abuse.
It was fucking crazy. It was really crazy. So, anyways, like I was saying, like, when I got to high school, I started playing sports again. And then I was in like weightlifting class and shit like that. And then we had PE with our crazy ass PE coach in high school. And I started losing weight again. And I started getting really strong because we were like weightlifting and doing shit. But I wish I stuck to that. But then I just got more into music again. Same shit that happened when I was a kid. And then I was like, I'm not gonna play sports anymore. Also, the teams in my high school fucking sucked. Like I tried to play football for 2 years and the team just fucking lost every single game. Like, who wants to play on a team that loses every single game? How are you gonna ever win a game of football when you're all like 5'5" Mexican dudes? And then you play another team and it's like tall ass white guys, tall ass black guys, and they're just beating the shit out of us. Like, I was fucking strong, I was fast. There's nothing you could do against like a dude that's 6'5" and built like a fucking adult already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you gonna do? So, yeah, I'm not even tall. I'm pretty short. I'm 5'8", and I didn't even become 5'8" till I was like a junior, probably a junior or senior. So it was easy for me to lose weight in that time. But then I noticed people that were like really skinny. They didn't just lose weight. Like they got fucking ripped and shit. And I think if you were growing up chubby, all those people I remember who had like the baby fat, they got really skinny towards like, the end of high school. Some of them even got skinny after high school. And then they gained it all back and they look like shit now. You look at them.
Do you ever get some satisfaction when you see?
Yeah, of course. I know exactly what you're asking. I love to see someone who was like peaked in high school and then you see them now and they look like shit and their life is just shit. It just brings me so much joy. Like, I just get so happy. I'm just like, oh God, I just take a deep breath and I'm like, whew.
It's not your time yet.
It's not my time. I'm just like,
not your time to peak.
Hell no. Like, I feel like I'm like on the up and up. I feel like I'm just getting better and better. I see people like not honestly, like, okay, I'm exaggerating. I don't like, it doesn't bring me so much joy. Like, I don't want people
Yes,
to
it does.
It does, but like,
He's lying.
I'm mostly joking, I'm exaggerating about the feeling. I don't want to see people like fail and experience bad shit, but there's just something about seeing people who like treated everyone else like shit in high school, who thought they were gonna just like, I don't know what they thought they were gonna do, be fucking celebrities or something. And then you see them now and you're just like, dude, what? You peaked in high school, you're a loser. Like, and because when you're in high school and you're growing up and you feel like a loser and all these other people are like, think that they're not losers, that you're the loser, and then you grow up and you're like, well, that one was not the fucking loser. Like, my life is still going. And then you see other people's lives stopped after high school, and then you're just like, how did you let that happen? Like that's what you get for doing that. That's your karma. I'm friends with some of those people, so it doesn't bring me joy to see them suffering, but it definitely is like kind of silly. Like, what were you doing? You should have.
It's definitely really funny to see like exes or people that were like mean to you, to see them, peak.
You see them peak, and you're like, "What? That's
or
all
maybe
you have?"
Or maybe they were like all about their body, and now they're
they have like 4
they're
kids.
chunky.
Yeah,
not that being chunky is like.
There's nothing wrong with being chunky, but
it's funny when
it's about the context.
Yeah, it's the context.
Like, you were a jerk or a bitch, and then you were judging people for their body, and then now you look like shit. That's just poetic. Like, that's poetic justice.
Poetic justice.
That shit makes me laugh. I love seeing someone who was like a jerk in high school who's bald. That shit makes me laugh. I just like want to point in their face and laugh. Like, oh my God, look what happened to you. You look like a potato head now,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few people, like, I can think of one that you probably know too. They're just like, they're bald, or they're like, they have a bunch of kids with different people and they're broke. And
hey, don't judge people with different kids.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that there's not anything wrong with that. Clearly there is. Like, no one should aspire to do that, but it happens, right? Like, that's just life. And it's not always one person's fault. It takes 2 people. Like, sometimes women place their faith in a stupid ass guy, and then they place their faith in another stupid ass guy, and then another one, and then before you know it, they have 3 kids. Okay, so that happens sometimes. It's difficult maybe for the men because they're just assholes. So it's like, not like they made the mistake. They made the mistake of just existing, right? So I'm just saying,
they made the mistake of being assholes and choosing women that are like, yeah, whatever, like, I don't care, and then kind of fucking up Two people's lives.
I mean, they ruined it because they
they go too far.
They go too far. They I don't know how that happens, but so many times, maybe the first time, okay, second time.
Well, one thing I'd like to say is society instills in women that there's going to be this guy, right?
I think the problem is twofold. It's societies, because society conditions women to have unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. But then the second part is that the rest of society that matters, like parents, the immediate family, school, like growing up for us, I think is different a lot compared to now. I think more women and media is trying to influence young women to be I don't know, smarter and more self-sufficient and independent. But I think before it's society's conditioning you to have these unrealistic expectations, and then the women get into relationships and they're projecting what they think the man is supposed to be, and they're waiting for the man to become this idealized man in their head. But it's why are you expecting that? No man is like that. You're expecting Prince Charming, but you never communicate you want Prince Charming, or you never have you ever seen this person that you have in your head? Why are you expecting that? Why do you deserve that? And then...
Well, it's because society promised.
Society promised women that.
Disney promised.
Well, Disney, society, media promised young women that. And then the rest of the women in their life didn't do a good enough job being that's not it's I liken it to porn versus real sex, right? If you were to just be a kid and then you see porn and then no one ever educates you about sex or about intimacy, you will grow up with these unrealistic expectations about what sex is supposed to be like. And then you'll have all these problems, and people become sex addicts, or they become these just really disconnected people during sex, right? Unless someone sits you down and says that's not real. That's not real life. That's not what people do when they love each other. That's not what two people do who are trying to show their love and oneness together. That's not real. And that's kind of the same thing. It's women have this expectation from back then about what a man is supposed to be to them and what that's supposed to mean. And it's just not realistic. It's not just the body standards are still not realistic for men and women. You see people online and it's all these guys, and the problem is guys that are inexperienced or have never dated, they get these weird expectations. They think they're gonna get a girl with a huge butt and huge boobs and long hair and beautiful face and perfect, all this stuff. But it's why do you think you deserve that? Or why do you think that's gonna happen? That's not what all women look like. That's a curated look that this person paid for, So then it's the same shit all over again. It's expectations are not managed properly because society and media is perpetuating this gross, unrealistic version, So then you end up with this disconnect that causes problems in relationships. It causes problems with people's self-esteem. And it ultimately affects the whole family dynamic, Mm-hmm. People end up in shitty relationships. They end up single parents, or they end up co-parenting. And I mean, I can't think of too many people I know that had kids in the last 10 years that I grew up with that are not co-parenting. I can only think of maybe a handful or less than a handful that are still with the other parent and doing a good job keeping the family together. A lot of people, they get divorced and they co-parent, and I think that should be yes, it shouldn't be so taboo, or it's not. We're not in the fucking 1950s. It should be somewhat normalized, but it shouldn't be overly normalized to the point where it's people just give up. Obviously, things have to happen, to prevent that. People should be educated and should maybe, I don't know, just consider who they're going to have a family with, Accidents happen, but there's a lot of people who just don't stick together. They don't try to work things out.
Well, I think that's a lot of context. It takes two people, and that's already a lot.
Yeah,
and two people have to be on the same page throughout their whole life of growing as a person.
Yeah.
And sometimes one person grows and the other one doesn't. And then
That's a problem.
where the disconnect happens. And then that's where it's like, actually, you can't even catch up to me anymore. Like, you know?
Done. Yeah, that's why I think people should work harder to keep things together. If you're going to like end up doing that.
Yeah.
Especially men, like men will
get a little too
will make a mistake, end up getting someone pregnant, and then now they got to like hang in there. And then they just like sabotage it. They just like, they don't keep things together with the baby mama. They don't like work on themselves. They don't work on building things together. They just like focus on what they think being a man is, and then they ruin the relationship. I mean, I can think of tons of people I know and seen where it's like, there wasn't much that the girl was asking. And sometimes it's like both. It's obviously, it takes two people, you know? But a lot of it is just like, you know, men aren't really listening to the people that they end up having kids with, to their needs, you know, to their partner's needs.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what's your next point?
I was just going to kind of tie back to the journey.
I don't know how we even got to this point.
Yeah, I don't know. You just wanted to stop you because you're going on a rant.
I don't know how we got to this point.
It's okay. And the time's almost up. So I wanted to circle back.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to circle back. This is your podcast.
Yeah, but you're talking about your weight loss journey. You don't have to tell me to figure out. I know how to close this. I could close it right now because it's my podcast.
Close it right now.
All right, we're done.
Dumb.
Thanks, babe.
No.
So you want to say something else?
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
I didn't think you were going to close that right now. Damn.
Don't fucking test me. Don't test me because I'll do it. I said I'll end it if I want. It is my podcast.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm your guest of honor, and you're like, anyways, back to the. You should have cut me off a long time ago. You let me go on and on about these people.
Regardless of,
they're bald, they're divorced, the single baby mamas and daddies.
Regardless of wherever I cut you off, babe, you would have been like, "Why'd you cut me off?"
I don't even remember where we were starting from this. Anyways, we're trying to lose weight, and she wants me to say it before the episode ends. She is the one that started this whole thing, what we're doing.
I didn't want you to, but thank you for the credit. Thanks for the shout out.
Give her all the credit. Give Alexa all the credit. We wake up 3 days a week at like 5:30.
It's 4 now.
Well, we're trying to do 4 days a week now. See if we can do it. I fucking hate it. It's like you're so strict about the time, and I go to sleep.
Our schedules, babe.
Our schedules fucking suck.
That's why the time has to be that time.
I like to go to bed a little later. You like to go to bed super early, and it's just like there's really no compromise. It's kind of just everything that you want, and we're just doing it. And I'm trying to just like fall into it and hope that it just benefits me in the long run. And it's cool. So it's working out slowly. You know, we've been doing good, and we've been consistent, and you know, here's to the next, you know, few months of doing.
I don't like how you're saying it's everything that I want, because
it's everything you ever wanted.
No, it's not, because I don't like exercise, waking up early, but I am having a lot of back problems. I'm having a lot of anxiety. So that's, I want to sleep better. I want to lose some weight. So that was my reasoning. And, I also wanted to spend time with you and do this together. And you also need to stop fucking snoring.
Oh.
You want to go there.
Whoa. Okay, so anyways, if you guys have any tips on how to stop snoring, can you send me some tips, please?
Share some tips on just to end snoring. There needs to be a movement. There needs to be a movement. End the snoring now.
I think there needs to be the mass eradication of snoring. And if you snore, you're shot on sight.
Okay, well, we'll end here.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.